the News Channel 5 network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. Amidst all the snow and bad weather this week, lawmakers had their first full week in session back here for their second year in Nashville. Also, statewide, you've got these two campaigns gearing up for both the open governor's seat and the open U.S. Senate seat, the election coming up in November. To help us give some perspective about all that's coming up, both on the Hill and out on the campaign trail, we have Chris Conte of News Channel 5 with us this week, and Chaz Siss of Nashville Public Radio, WPLN. Gentlemen, thank you both for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
They've got new offices, new digs for the committees up on the lawmakers up on Capitol Hill. They're over in the Cordell Hall building. Everybody's still kind of learning their way around, Chaz, up there? You need a map to figure out where you are?
Yeah, you do. I mean, fortunately, we were given a little bit of a tour before it opened up, but it's definitely a very different layout from the old Legislative Plaza building, which was all kind of one level. This is a much more vertical building. Yeah,
Chris, I mean, this is vertical. People on different floors. The committees are all on a different floor. You spent some time in the old Legislative Plaza, but you're having to learn all over again. How does it impact your coverage?
You know, not only the coverage, but I think it actually is going to impact the politics a little bit. Because people, I was talking to a couple of lawmakers the other day, and they were saying you just don't drop by someone's office anymore now. You have to have a reason to go to someone's office. You know, before you would kind of be walking by each other in the hallway or past each other in the plaza, but you don't have that long kind of hallway anymore. So if you want to go talk to someone, you have to make it a point to go to their floor.
And Chaz, there seems to be many more ins and outs of this building. The old Legislative Plaza, you went on one end or the other, and so if you needed to find a lawmaker, if you didn't find him in his office or her, you could find them somewhere going in or out if you needed to. That's not as easy anymore.
No, that's definitely not. There was about 3 points in Legislative Plaza where you could stand and see just about everybody over the course of an hour or so. This is definitely a place where you're going to have to be a lot more strategic about where you place yourself in terms of finding people.
Now, Chris, if you need a map this year, you're going to need a roster next year. Already in the Senate, we've had a lot of turnover that we don't normally have in the second year of a term.
Yeah, it has been, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting year. I mean, just in terms of who's going to be coming, who's going to be going. And also, I think a lot of people, just maybe aren't going to be as focused on state work because they're looking ahead to, they're just going to be so focused on 2018, trying to see what's coming down the pipe, and so many people, so many open seats or seats that are going to be open.
So many running for other offices. So you think, and we got couple of them, one in both houses running for governors. Is politics from other races going to get into this session this year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you have somebody, you're running for governor, you're certainly keeping an eye on what everything that you do at the legislature, what impact that's going to have on the governor's race. But you know, also there's that follow-on effect where once those leaders leave the legislature or say they're going to leave the legislature, people start jockeying for their position, and so there's a lot of maneuvering, I think, in terms of that.
Lieutenant Governor McNally was with us on the show last week. We talked about all this turnover, and one of the things he mentioned was that perhaps some lawmakers are leaving because they're looking for higher pay because some of the positions they're running for in local and county government to pay better. And he said maybe it was a time to look at legislative salaries. Really, this year?
It seems unlikely in an election year that they would take a vote to boost their own pay. But they are.
But down the road, maybe when they come back.
I think that's probably something they look at. I mean, it works out to about $30,000 a year that the legislators make being legislators. And I mean, given that a number of hours they put into it compared to the private sector, what they get paid in the private sector, it's pretty low. And you compare it to other states too, for the amount of time they put in, it's actually fairly low. The pay.
Is going to be changing its leadership. You might have a change in the middle of this year if Mark Norris, who's a Senate Majority Leader, winds up being confirmed to a federal judgeship. Already maneuvering going on for that position.
I think to some degree, yes. I think there's a lot of uncertainty what's going to happen with Mark Norris, and he has been in that position for so long that he's got a lot of staying power there. There is a lot of question right now about whether his nomination gets confirmed. So I think while that's up in the air, it becomes a little hard to maneuver for something when you might be going up against somebody who's going to be holding on to their job for the foreseeable future.
And Beth Harwell is running for governor. There will be a new speaker next year. Already maneuvering going on in the House, which is a lot bigger body, so therefore the maneuvering and the wrangling can get to be a little bit big, even if it's behind the scenes.
Yeah, I saw her on Tuesday, I think the first day of the session, and I asked her, I said, you know, are you going to stay here? Are you going to stay in this position while you're running for governor? And I said, is that effective for you? And she because some people might say, well, why aren't you just focusing all your attention, on this race? And she said, well, I feel like if I stay in my House speakership position, that it enables me to kind of keep my ear to the ground more and know what people are talking about, even though she's really going to be splitting her time, in terms of not just her job there, but trying to win this office, which is a big undertaking.
And she can't raise money. No lawmakers can
Right.
raise money while they're in session. And Chaz, we had a whole bunch of the fundraisers, I'm sure, last week, because there were a lot. This was the last time they could do it. Does the fact that a lot of them are running for other offices or running for re-election mean we're going to have a pretty short session this year?
You would think so. There's also the if you're a supporter of maybe one of the other candidates, maybe you want to prolong the session a little bit to try to keep the advantage as long as you can. But I think certainly that for most of them, the pressure is going to be on to get in and get out as quickly as possible.
We already seeing that a bill that's been controversial up there the last several sessions is what's going on with this bathroom call legislation in other states. Big problem and big controversy in North Carolina. The sponsor now has come out and said he's probably going to withdraw the bill for this term after he spoke with leadership. Do you think leadership sort of said, let's don't go there this session?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people at the Capitol, and I know for a fact that they're looking at what's happening in some of these special elections around the country. Starting in Wilson County, where a Democrat ran very close in a very Republican district. They're looking at these elections as a sign that maybe there's a wave coming towards them. And they want to keep their heads down, I think, as much as possible and try to avoid as many unnecessary controversies as they can.
So April, maybe again, as they've been doing the last several years, mid-April, maybe as early as that, trying to get out this year?
Certainly not as far as last year.
No, I don't think so. I've been hearing early to mid-April is the goal for them this year.
One controversy about the new facilities, the speakers have decided to allow those with gun permits to be able to bring their guns into that, but they can't bring them into the Capitol where they actually meet, because that's controlled by the governor. He hasn't made that change. But there has been a fight about signs. First, they weren't going to allow any signs in there. They've backed off a little bit on that, Chris, and now it looks like the Democrats and others are going to continue to challenge because they say you can't bring them in with sticks. I asked Lieutenant Governor McNally, have they had problems with sticks? It's been a safety issue or something. I think he said, well, people can't see sometimes with them. So that's going to be a continuing controversy.
And I think they're still going to be talking about that. And then they're also still just learning the ropes. Like we were talking about at this new facility. I was talking to one of the state troopers who's assigned up there the other day, who's stationed in the tunnel, in the new tunnel. And right now, he's just sitting at a table, just checking people as they go by. They still don't even have metal detectors, making sure that people aren't bringing guns. The troopers are asking people and kind of doing a visual search.
And making them show their permit.
Making sure that they don't have guns going from Cordell Hull into the Capitol. But there again is a learning curve with some of these new regulations, is they don't even have kind of the infrastructure set up in there to be checking as people are coming through to go into the Capitol and make sure that they don't have guns on them.
Chris Conti of News Channel 5 is our guest, along with Chaz Sis from WPLN Nashville Public Radio. We're talking about the current legislative session, and we're going to talk also coming up about some of the races coming up for both governor and U.S. Senate, where there are open seats. Back to continue our conversation after you watch these messages.